How's it going, everyone? Before welcome to Heliopolis Radio. Today, we've been fortunate to be joined by Joanna. Audience, I apologize. I might make a mistake with saying the surname, but she'll correct me. It's Kacprzycka, and she is a quantum code channeler and a certified psychic medium. And she's here to share what you might find quite interesting stuff about the ever emerging world of psychic phenomena. I know the quantum world is now being a topic of discussion in many spheres and many fields. And it's actually been a topic of discussion in many cultures that have also had somewhat of an understanding of it in their own way. And so, Joanna, I hand it over to you. Tell us about yourself. What has led you down the path of studying quantum healing, quantum channeling, and also tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you so very much for having me here today. And to answer your question, what led me to this path is, as a certified hypnotherapist and a medium and a coach channeler,
Mm,
you know, being a hypnotherapist, I had this, situation happen in my life, like the events, the pivotal events that happened where
mm,
I was just interested in, channeling. And I came across this woman called Alba Weinman on YouTube. And I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, oh, what is she doing? And she did hypnotherapy. And she regressed people back to their, different lifetimes, galactic lifetimes for very old souls, and quantum healing. And I was listening to it, wow, going, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm like, I don't know if I get it, if I understand, but and in that time, when I was watching a session of hers, she said that she was traveling the world. She lived in the US at the time. I live in England, but at
mm,
the time I was living in Denmark. She said that she's doing a few stops in the world, and one of them was my small town in Copenhagen, Denmark. So I thought it was a sign that you got to get on this, you got
mm,
to just check it out and see what it's all about. So I did. It was fairly quickly, how the wheels turn. So I showed up to the event at the time with my ex-partner. We both went, and I was blown away because I did regress back to a galactic lifetime, really. And
mm,
I mean, mind blowing. I wasn't expecting that, number one. And I couldn't even like explain it. Like I saw these things you can't even put into words, these other worldly things.
mm,
So that was the first time I've had that. In other lifetimes, I regressed back. So after that, I was like, wow, this is super cool. And then it regressed back to this life, another lifetime. So it made sense to me.
mm,
So shortly right after that, I went to Paris for a little bit, and I got schooling. I had schooling to become a hypnotherapist, and I got certified.
mm,
It was an advanced program, and right after that, Corona happened. So
mm.
that was a little challenging with starting the business, kind of get it going, and then I got pregnant, so I had a baby.
Wow.
So I took a little pause.
Yeah,
Yeah, right around that time.
that's a lot in such a short space of time. It's quite
Yeah, all in once. So I was just, it was Corona time. I had my little girl, and I wasn't focused on the business, but I was still doing hypnotherapy, for friends and family and people that I met along the way. And then I didn't really get going until the past year. My
hmm
little girl turned 3,
Wow.
and what got me now into the quantum channeling is now something really phenomenal happened in my experience in my life. Now, being a medium, I've had that all my life, basically, ever since I could remember. I mean, since I remember, when I was a toddler, I wasn't aware, but I knew things. I was very quiet as a toddler. I was just
Mm.
kind of observing the world and confused why I'm even here. I'm like, I'm looking around like, what are these people doing? I have no idea why I'm here. Why am I doing? I was like a mime, just observing everybody, confused most of it until I was like 6 and 7, and then I started connecting with the spirits and going, listen, you got to tell me what's up. What's going on? I don't get this. And they told me, bit by bit as a child, you only little information, and I proved events that happened in life and deaths and all these things that
Mm.
kind of shocked me. But the quantum one now, fast forward to that quantum one, is in 2012.
Mm.
The Mayans. It was that 2012, December 21st, 2012. Remember that thing they were talking about? The Mayans.
Mm.
The Mayans predicted this day. And I was like, yeah, okay. I'm a healthy skeptic. Let me tell you, the healthiest skeptic ever. I was like, listen, show me and I believe it. A
Yeah.
ghost, you show yourself, prove to me, and I'll believe it. And
Mm.
they showed me, and I believe it.
Wow.
But on this day, I was a total skeptic, and I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy my day. I'm not gonna plan anything on this day. I'm just gonna see what happens. So, it was crazy on that day. It was a huge, massive shift. What
Wow.
happened is you know, like a total skeptic, right? And I was just mind blown. So what happened is on that day in Denmark time around 10:19, I think I wrote in a diary, I had the sound there was of a frequency. I heard a frequency. You know how they have the pitchforks and you know hit it,
Mm.
and you know how you have it like you put it close to your ear. That's what I felt like. I felt like my whole brain was vibrating.
Wow.
I was like for a few minutes. I was and I first was like, is it music? Somebody else doing? You know, we tried to debunk it in your mind and ask you know neighbors around like, did you have loud music? You know, try to debunk it.
Mm.
No, there was nothing going on. Right after that frequency went into my brain and just kind of like it didn't hurt. I saw a green orb. It was just floating around in my room, like a green
Oh,
orb.
wow.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, this is pretty trippy.
Wow.
I don't do drugs, by the way, just disclaimer, I don't do drugs. I drink wine on occasion and maybe some drinks and stuff, but I very like I can't take any substances because my body doesn't process it well. I kind of literally go
Mm.
into other dimensions, really. It's too trippy
Mm.
for me, even the tiniest amount. So I'm
Mm.
totally coherent, not doing any drugs. And this, you know, green orb is floating around me. I was like, whatever, pretty cool. I don't know what that was. I asked some friends. They're just like, no, nothing happened to me. I was like, I don't know what that was. Fast forward in time, about a few months later, I started seeing these light codes. What it's codes. It's like, you know, when you start seeing something that doesn't belong in this reality, the best metaphor I can give is like there was this Simpson episode where he was in like the 2D and you
Mm.
started seeing the other dimension you could actually find on YouTube, and you could
Mm.
see like it doesn't belong here.
Mm.
Like the shapes, the dimensions is not in this world. Is the strangest thing to say. So I'm looking at these things floating down. They keep floating down from it's photons, basic photonic energy, but
Mm.
it's invisible. But you could see the codes. It's like intertwined with the sacred geometry in between it, right?
Mm.
And I'm looking at this, going, wait a minute, this is so trippy. This does not belong on this reality. Like what I was just saying wow for a few weeks.
Mm.
During that time, I found people who saw what they call light codes. But the thing is, it's not light codes. It's it's the actual. When I was told during that time, it was actually our actual blueprint codes of each individual's reality. I didn't actually know this at the time. They actually allowed me to process this for a while because I was just, this is, you know, mind blowing stuff, right?
Mm.
So our blueprint codes are embedded in the light and frequency and vibration.
Mhm.
You are light. Like at core, you are
Mhm.
just light. That, you know,
Mhm.
they say even in the Bible they say, you know, be the light. You are the light because you actually are.
Mm.
This reality that we see is actually just made up of photons, energy,
Mm.
vibration, and frequencies all in one. You are light.
Mhm.
So these codes that I see are my codes, and each individual has their codes. When
Mm.
I see these codes, it's basically like a snake, right?
Mm.
It's like a snake intertwined, like the Kundalini. You ever see those
Mm.
symbolic spiritual things about a snake? I was like, what the heck, a snake Kundalini? Okay, no, no. This is actually the snake formation that intertwines with your life path, right? And you know, in your life path, you would think, going, well, we don't have, we're infinite beings, right?
Mm.
But but we make decisions in a spectrum of like a handful of decisions always in our life. So it's not like
Mm.
infinite. So each day, each moment of your life, you have these possibilities that you have. We don't have like infinite. And these
Mm.
possibilities are shown in these codes. And
Mhm.
the ones that you are focused on are actually more visible.
Mm.
It's like a tapestry that I'm looking at, right? This tapestry. The ones that you're in is visible, and the ones that you're not focused on, you're not there yet, it's actually more transparent, but you still see them, but it's a little bit more in the background.
Mm.
So it shows you as to where your path is leading. So
Mm.
the reason why I'm a, you know, I kind of call myself a quantum channel is because I see these codes and I could translate for people. Eventually, everybody's going to be seeing this as the
Mm.
generations go on.
Mhm.
The older souls will see them first to help decipher and help the younger souls understand what the heck this even is. So they won't be tripping, you
Mhm.
know? And so the way that I see it is basically shows me my possibilities of what am I focused on in my highest timelines. We have
Mm.
all these timelines we create, right? And and one of the things that I'm here to do to bring people to an awareness of their realities, of how it even works,
Mm,
like the layers of the realities on top of each other, of how this works, and where they are in their reality, and how to get to their highest timelines. And what does that mean, highest timeline? It's like there's an source or guides tell me it's all good.
mm,
They tell me it's all good. I'm like, what do you mean it's all good? There's wars, there's devastation, there's no, it's not. It's not all good. I'm just being realistic as a human, right?
mm,
Getting the higher knowledge, but then translating it in like a human sense. They go, no, no,
mm,
Joanna, it's all good. I'm like, how is that? They said, because each individual gets to choose how they live out their life. So you could be
mm,
in a war zone, but if you believe you're going to get out of it, the universe will work in, I would say magical ways. I'm saying magical, in miraculous ways to get you out
mm,
of there. If you believe you're going to be stuck there in that bad relation, that bad situation, I'm sorry to say, then you're going to be stuck there because that's part of your lessons. But if you
mm,
believe there's something better for you, like let's say examples, like somebody could be like in the worst case scenario, you can think, I mean, war zone or prison or something.
mm,
There's so many examples where they got out.
mm,
And there's this man I was following. His name is Neville. Maybe you've heard of him, Neville Goodart. Might say his
mm,
name wrong. And he talks about visualizing yourself in a place you want to be in the present moment. You just close your eyes and you feel that you're there. And this is what I do in hypnotherapy. I take the individual in a place. Let's say they want to get that timeline, like for them right there, that they could just
mm,
walk into. I create that space for them, and every sensation you can imagine. We feel it, we smell it, we touch it, we taste it, to get them already halfway there.
mm.
And Neville talks about that, and that is that's a lot. I know that's a mouthful
No,
to say.
I
It's a
think
mouthful
I
to
think
say.
thankfully, for at least for my end of the spectrum, I don't want to say I 100% understand, but I get where you're coming from. It's interesting. A lot of the things that you've brought up, are incredible. They make quite a bit of sense, and I guess you actually answered the second question I was going to ask is how does this phenomena affect
It's
our
the medium
everyday?
thing.
Yeah, you basically, I guess you're ahead of time. You answered how it affects our everyday lives. Um, and I was going to ask you this. Is there any evidence of quantum phenomena in other cultures that perhaps you've studied or perhaps that you've looked at that had a certain understanding on attunement? I know that I think is it the East India, they refer to it, not East India, but in the Eastern Asian countries, they refer to it as Akasha or Akashic, basically like a universal. Trying to remember, sorry, I'm jogging my memory because I haven't read
Yeah,
about it in a while.
Akashic Records.
Akashic
You got
record,
it.
and
Yeah.
these basically, they say no deed goes unnoticed by the universe because everything is registered as information. So I understand, actually, interesting enough, there were experiments that were done with intention, the power of
Hmm.
intention. And I don't know if it was in Russia where they wanted to see if they could. I know this is not this is a typical human way of looking at things. How can you do this or that? So there's a bit of immaturity to it. But what they said in this is that they designed a device that is able to detect set subtle electromagnetic fields, and they were actually able to power up this device just with, they got a whole bunch of people to have a certain thought or idea at a certain moment, and then this device actually,
Yeah.
I have this, I still not spoke. It's actually, I'll share it with you maybe afterwards. I think you might find it interesting.
Sure.
And I was going to ask, have you looked at any other cultures that perhaps established a foundation in this? Because the angle that I'm getting from you is this is pretty much something that's new, or is it maybe this something that was done before that we just simply lost the ability to do as, society goes through its peaks and lows, good times, bad times, and everything like that.
Yeah.
And maybe because we're in a bad, like a rough, I don't want to say bad time, but in a difficult space in terms of our consciousness and awareness, do you believe that this, what you're sharing now, has something that has always been embedded in us? We just forgot how to do it, essentially.
Sure. Thank you. So to answer your question now, like I actually don't do much research.
All right.
I'm super sensitive and I get channeled messages. I talk to spirits. I
Mm,
actually go in and out of different realities
mm,
and other spaces. So what I see basically is the higher dimensions. Now these formations that I
mm,
see are the higher dimensions. And one of the courses that I'm actually launching at the end of this month, it's how to aligned to your highest timeline, basically, to help
mm,
people understand first the realities. We're in the third dimension, then you go to the fourth and the fifth, and it actually goes beyond the 12th. But in the
mm,
scope of the human mind, we
mm,
actually only go, as they say, to the 12th, but it's actually beyond.
mm,
But in the scope of our minds, because we are limited in the knowledge of where we can actually take that, we have to expand our consciousness to actually know more.
mm,
So when you're mentioning those things, I have to share with you one of the other strange things that I see. I say strange because it did blow my mind. Now, when did this start? This was always in us. We're born psychic. We're born with these our own unique metaphysical abilities beyond our wildest imagination. We are powerful beyond measure, like they say.
mm,
But we're kind of like in our child state, and we're actually advancing now into the toddler stage. That's how I see it, because I have a
mm,
daughter. So we're like little basically baby infants, and now we're actually becoming toddlers. So we're
mm,
ascending to the fifth and higher dimensions, and the
mm,
older souls came here as volunteers to help with the ascension.
mm,
So it's always been in us. And the reason why I see is because there's a special time called Age of Aquarius that is going to be upon us, which is now. It's going to be a
mm,
little bit of a pause, and it's going to be here for 20 years. And it's going to expedite so many things in the consciousness. It's going to
mm,
blow our minds. And this is just the beginning. Like say, mark my words. Now, the
mm,
phenomena, go back to the phenomena that I see is like, I don't know why I see it. I just do. I actually see atoms. I actually see how an atom looks like. How I see it, why I see it, I don't know. But when
mm,
I look, um, because it's the other realities.
mm,
When you start actually advancing into the other dimensions, you start to see really, I say, trippy
mm,
things that you
mm,
cannot explain. It's not in any textbook. That's why I don't go anywhere else to get knowledge. I
mm,
just watch quick videos, like the briefness of it, but I
mm,
kind of turn it off because it doesn't
mm,
resonate. But anyways, with these atoms, when I look at a textbook, actually, I had almost 3 degrees. I have a design degree, a business degree, and I was going into science degree. I want to do it all,
wow,
right?
wow,
So, but I stopped because I had my baby.
mm,
And when I was looking at the textbook, an atom, the thing is, the atom, the way that I see that hasn't been explained, and I will talk about this in more future podcasts and bigger, just think
mm,
in general, just platforms, right? Is the
mm,
atom itself, the nucleus, you don't actually see it. You know how, imagine a textbook, you ever see the little circle inside, and then you have the loops and the loop and the loop and the
mm,
loop, right?
mm,
That's not accurate. It's just like a symbol. The inside of the nucleus is actually invisible, but it's magnetic. It's invisible magnetic force that keeps it together. Now,
mm,
what I see is basically these atoms, which are everywhere, every single place you could imagine. It's like a firework. It's like these little balls of fireworks that shoot off in every direction at every
mm,
second, like this. And there's no momentum. It just goes and goes. So imagine this. Now going to your next question you had about the intentions. Now, every thought you think, every feeling you have goes somewhere. I promise you this. So
mm,
people think like, oh, I thought a bad thought. And there's no judgment. Like the source doesn't look like, oh, bad thought, good thought. Oh, how dare you? How could you?
mm,
No, because you're creating your world. And I'll talk about that in just in
mm.
another little few minutes chat.
Alright.
That each thought you think goes into the sphere of your universal creation of this invisible world that I see.
Mhm,
And the more you think about it, the more, if you want to give like a visual, the more the ball grows, and the more this reality and timeline actually shows up for you. So
mhm,
that's why they say, like Abraham Hicks or something said, she focuses on the good for a reason.
mhm,
What she says is true. I mean, there's some things that are just missing pieces to the puzzle, but
mhm,
when you focus on bad, I promise you, you're going to get bad. I'm sorry to say.
mhm,
When you focus on better feeling thoughts, they will just appear like magic. So whenever you have a bad thought, learn how to convert it. Even if you're annoyed, let's say something bad happened, somebody annoyed you or something, you let those emotions process, but don't sit on it for too long because you're
mhm,
creating every second. So process those emotions, cry it out. If you want to go get a pillow and you want to throw a pillow, whatever you want to do, sing it out, dance it out. That's what I do. I dance it out or I work out,
mhm,
and get it out because you're creating every second of every day, with the intentions. And another thing that I get, which is really strange, is being a medium, a very highly medium, is
Mm.
if somebody's thinking of me, I know. Sounds creepy, sounds
Wow.
weird. And I
Wow.
actually tested this since I was a teenager, and I could even test this with you, and then you can get back and you actually could comment this on them. Yeah, we could do a fun experiment. I love doing this. When I was a teenager, I knew this, a preteen, and I used to know when my friend was thinking of me because I get ringing in my ear. When somebody's thinking of you, we get ringing in my ear, in your ear. It's actually a frequency coming in that somebody's talking about. You know, you heard about the myth when you get ringing in your ear, somebody's talking about you. You ever heard that myth? Because
Mm.
it's true.
Mm.
Somebody's thinking about you, like your face could get flushed. That's what happens to me. And different sensations on my body because we're all just conductors. That's all
Mhm.
that we are. You are just a conductor, a magnetic conductor to the energy. That's it.
Mhm.
I'm just a very high conductor of
Mm.
energy. And I tested this out with friends, and my friend like would be thinking of me when I was like a teenager, and I'd be like texting her, like, "Girl, you need to stop. You need to stop. Really, my face is flushed. Whatever conversation we had today, just stop it." And she's like, "How'd you know?" I was like, I don't know how I know. I just know." So like a really trippy thing, right? Another thing that happens to me, and we're gonna test this out really because it's really
Mm.
interesting. But this is the difference. This is the big, big difference. People say I'm manifesting. We're
Mm.
manifesting every single second. When I see these titles of manifest your wildest dreams, I say, dude, we're manifesting every single second. You know? Really, I laugh. I go, oh my God, these people. I gotta bring out the word. I gotta say the truth out there because we're manifesting every single second. I visually see this, right?
Yeah.
And so when we're doing the manifesting, it's not the thought like you have your little the board of, oh, here's my car, here's my house, here's the love of my life, and here's my dream, whatever, right? Like the main things people really want.
Mm.
It's not about you visualizing it as much as the emotion. You have to put intense emotion in
Mm.
it, otherwise
Mm.
it just will not. It's the
Mm.
intensity of the frequency.
I
Like
hear
say
you.
everything is frequency, vibration, something else I forgot, Tesla, right?
Mm.
um, and he came to me. We actually had converse and interesting conversations. But so
Hectic.
everything,
Wait,
is
so
the intent.
you're talking Tesla, Nikola Tesla, right? The
Yeah,
the one that
yeah. He
everyone
came
is.
to me years ago. I didn't know who he was. He was like very more closed off, but he was willing to kind of tell me some things, interesting things.
Mm.
Later on, fast forward, and I figured out that was him. I'm like, oh, when you get a message and you don't really know until later on,
Yeah,
which is really
yeah.
interesting in the mind. But so if you don't give it that intensity of the emotion,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that it won't happen. It'll take way longer. It might not even happen, but it's a combination of actually seeing yourself there. It's two parts, and actually giving it that feeling and the emotion, the intensity of it. You have to feel it. Like if you want to be loved, feel the love. If you want to be rich, feel rich. If you want to be whatever, if you want to be peace. You know how they say? Because you
Mm.
got to feel it in your body and in your DNA to bring it
Mm-hmm.
closer to you, and even try it as a fun experiment, really. Like fast forward, we'll do another podcast in, like, I don't know, a few weeks, a few months, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
talk about fun experiments because that's one of the things that I do in my courses is I love experiments. I'm like a mind of a scientist. I love debunking things, and I don't believe until I see it for my own eyes. I want proof. I want proof.
Mm.
you know and I don't know if that answers like the questions that you had and stuff. Some interesting things that I wanted to mention.
Wow. No, again, you brought up each thing that you brought up is basically a massive discussion in of itself. I'll be honest, but it's amazing. It's obvious
Yeah, I
that
told you it'd be a little bit
again.
mind blowing.
No, I think actually I have a couple of questions, but I think I'll probably ask this one first is, in your opinion, because everything is consciousness. So, in your opinion, what do you believe is its purpose? One, um, how do you believe we should develop our consciousness better? And second, what are your thoughts on the nature of the collective consciousness right now? Because it's a shared
That's
space.
yeah, very, very good question. So So now the nature of reality, that's one of the other courses I have. And this is the channeled message that I got. In the beginning,
Mm,
I had to process it. They literally said to me of how this reality works, which is kind of
mm,
epic, right, to say. And it
mhm,
took me not that long to like process it because it kind of makes sense, but it takes some time. So basically, here's the thing. This is the nature of reality. You know, when they said you are God,
mm,
you are God, I am God, we're all God. Okay. I
mm,
even asked, we're talking back and forth, answering like the source and the angels questions. I had a lot of
mm,
questions for them. They said, here's how you're God. If you're God, you're part of God. God made you. God
mhm,
made you because he wanted to see the perspective exactly in your own unique eyes, exactly in your own experiences,
mm,
and you're a piece of God. So when
mhm,
they say you're creating your life, you're basically creating all the characters. How does that mean? Like Shakespeare even said, all the men and women are players. And they helped me explain what this means. What does that mean? Tell me. They said basically, the version of me that you see right now is the version of you vibrating right now. Because I am multi-dimensional being. I could be in million places at once. And so are
mhm,
you. And so
mm,
is your neighbor. And so is your parents. And so is whoever else,
mm,
right? So what does that even mean? Because now we need to explain these things for
mm,
consciousness and people to understand. Multidimensional means you can be in multiple places at once, and the human brain can't contain of how can I be in like a million places at once? That's insanity. But we are.
mm,
We have to understand that we're multidimensional is that the version of you that you're seeing of me, right?
mhm,
Is the one that you believe to be true in your consciousness.
mhm,
So if you believe the best of me, and if you're vibrating in my frequency, we're magnetizing each other to this opportunity, to this conversation,
mhm,
and we'll maybe even continue, and
mhm,
so on and so forth. So in a sense, I'm also a poet and a writer. So one of the poems that got channeled is that we're just fractal pieces of the infinite, and there's like a longer verse. I can send it to you if you want. It's
mhm,
beautiful. We're just fractal pieces of all the people, places, and things that we encounter in our reality, in our life.
mhm,
And when we transition, maybe when we close the door and finish this life, all the
mhm,
fractal pieces come back together. They
mhm,
all come back together. And that's how we have our lessons. Because we go to all these places in our dreams, in the astral, and all these other places that are mind blowing. But when we transition, get out of this life, all those lessons come back together and we get to review our life. And
mhm,
so actually being and existing on earth is so epic that many souls want to come here because it's very challenging, but
mhm,
man, you're going to evolve fast
mhm,
because the lessons and the progression that you get is like tenfold. In other worlds, if you believe it or not,
mhm,
you don't, it's not that you don't progress as fast. Earth is very challenging. The third dimensional world is very heavy and dense. And I feel it whenever I get channeled and I'm brought back here. It's like, ugh, it's like
mhm,
a, sack of potatoes. It's like, ugh,
mhm,
I'd rather be like up there. I'm telling you, this is like, but I'm here for my reasons, right? To share the
mhm,
messages. So, that was the guided message that I got is like, so in the end, after all said and done, you are God. Like everything you see, right? Imagine this after we finish talking.
mhm,
Everything you are seeing, having, you're creating because your beliefs are so important. Your beliefs are everything. Whatever you believe to be true, if you believe bad, more bad will come. If you believe, hey, I'm in whatever situation. Oh, it's going to get good. It's going to get real good. Things are going to come to me. I believe, but you have to have that conviction so strong.
mhm,
It's almost like an emotion. That emotion has to like envelop you and your whole entire
mhm,
soul, knowing I'm good. I'm here for such epic reasons,
mhm,
and everything is going to come to me. And even though whatever my past was, that don't matter. That's just part of my lessons that I'm going to share with the world. It's all
mhm,
good. Wherever I am right now in my life, it's part of the journey. I'm going to accept it. The
mhm,
first step is to accept exactly where you are and go,
mhm.
no matter where you are in your life, it's exactly where you're supposed to be.
Well
And it's all
said.
good.
Well
It's
said. Well
all
said.
good because this is just something you're going to be sharing. So process and saying, it's all good. I'm going to take this, whatever's going on in my life, and I know there's going to be valuable lessons to me. I'm going to be sharing with the world, and I'm going to make millions or whatever. Let's just say, like, let's just pretend like this visual, like, creation that we're creating right now, right? And this is the point. That's why to share this with the world and to share with people, going even with you, with me, wherever you are, wherever I am,
Mm,
Always tell yourself, no matter where I am in my life, whatever spectrum that we call good and bad, there's no bad, there's no good. It's actually all good.
Mhm.
It's just leading us to where we belong, but it's a choice.
Mm.
It's a choice. And here there's free will, there's destiny, where you have points in your life that are destined, because that's the blueprint of your life. You came here with certain souls, certain contracts. Say, hey, we're going to do this, it's going to happen. Oh, this shit is going to go down, sorry, or something, right? And, you're going to process some stuff. And then you have the free will, and the free will is your decision of how you're going to create your life. And you have the decision of creating the lifetime you want. And in the end, you're not going to be upset. You're going to be like, I get it, because I had my choices and stuff, and this. And I'm telling you right now that you create your timelines. You have
Mhm.
all these infinite, and you create the timelines. And always remember to think the best of any situation, the best in people. And
Mhm.
the last thing I'm going to mention, because I know I can just I just love talking about this so
No,
much.
yeah, excellent.
It's my life.
No, I mean, I haven't had to ask questions. You've just, it's amazing. It's like you're on auto, so you just, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I can just listen.
Yeah.
I don't have to
It's
ask
the
questions.
channeling. It's the channeling. I also get channeled messages as I say. That's the thing. So I just kind of go with the flow, and I do it consciously. I don't have to be like Abraham and close my eyes and do that thing. I'm in it like that. So the last thing to remember is about mentioning about the good and bad. So about the intention of life. I think that's one of the
Mhm.
things you're kind of mentioning, the intentions. Now, this is too important. How we're all interconnected. The boomerang effect of life. So this what I was told is that there are about 10, I don't want to say like the 10 commandments, it's not religious. There are more than 10, but there's 10 focal points of laws in this reality that will never change. And I
Mhm.
can't name them right now, but one of them is the what do you call there's the boomerang effect. What you give, you get. Like if you literally
Mhm.
type in 10 commandments, it's basically the same thing without the religious aspect. Like
Mhm.
that's what it is. What you give, you get. And then
Mhm.
also in with the believing and all this other stuff. So the thing is, the energy that you give to life. It's one of the books that I wrote. Actually, it's launching at the end of this month as well. It's called
Wow.
what am I? It's called Enlighten Up. It's the Confessions of a Quantum Channeler. So enlighten up, like lighten up. And so when you do the intention setting, you have to remember whatever you intention you have for somebody else, you're giving it to yourself. Like, okay,
Mhm.
how does that work? What does that mean? Because you're creating this. It's a boomerang effect. If somebody, let's say, example, somebody cuts you off driving and something, you want to be angry because they cut you off. I mean, upset, just normal human reactions. Just remember, collect yourself, go, no, 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 I'm not going to react. I go, listen, he's having a bad day. I don't know what's going on with him. There must be something going on with him. I'm going to be kind and compassionate. I don't know what this person's going through in their life. They're not out to get me. They're just cut me off. They're going through stress, all this stuff. We have to shift our perspective, and we have to think of this person is really a version of me. And in a time I was upset, I was going through stuff, in whatever
Mhm.
time in my life. So there's this version of me. So I'm going to remember to be kind and compassionate, even if they're not kind to me,
Mhm.
because I'm going to get that back. And it's not, you might get it right away, actually. I've had that actually. I get that all the time, like good stuff, like I have too many examples to give you. And
Mhm.
even so, the bad, don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect. I have my
Mhm.
times where, I get upset and, and then I realize, and then I come back to the person, I'm so sorry, but I fix it really quick because I knew how that works. As long as we
Mhm.
fix it, as long as we go, oh shoot, I didn't mean that. Hey, by the way, let's just regroup, like let's just like, whatever the case is, like we're only human, we're learning, we're learning how not to react. We're
Mhm.
learning how to respond in a better way, better way, in a better way. That's what they say to me, better way of living, of doing and being. So if anything happens in your life, always remember the easy is easy, right? I mean, the easy, like good stuff is easy to process, right? You're like, yeah, but the
Oh, so
bad stuff, that
that is, and it's funny because they always talk about, I don't, again, I'm probably what you call one of those surfer souls, I guess. I don't try to go too intensely into anything anymore. I guess life has made me do that, but they do mention, I did remember saying that, all souls come and they have probably more karma than the usual because of the nature of maturity they have to cultivate in this life. So your life, if you're an old soul, to the outside average person might look like a very miserable affair for the most part. A
What
lot
it
of
looks like.
a lot of difficult things transpire. Um, but I would say on that is it's ultimately to your liberation, I would say. I guess it's always the bad things that often lead to your highest knowing at some point, some way, somehow. We all go through it in different ways, sometimes multiple ways.
Yeah, it's
Multiple
so
ways.
true. The old souls are the ones, the old souls are the ones who go through the biggest challenges. So if anybody out there listening and you think, holy cow, I went through some major stuff that I don't even know how I lived through it. And trust me, I've been
Mm,
there. I've been through some, I mean,
mm,
I almost died not by my own cause. Carbon monoxide twice. I mean, I can go through all this.
mm,
Childbirth, I almost died. I went into almost a coma and all this stuff, but I didn't.
mm,
And car accidents and you name it. But I'm here for a greater good, a reason, not
mm,
my own accord. Hiking almost died, but all
mm,
these stuff. But I mean, that's just surface stuff. Then I went through other stuff in my childhood and other
mm,
things that I
mm,
literally go, holy shoot, like I went
mm,
through this, and because I'm connected to the other side, they helped me explain along the way. So I was
mm,
never alone. You're never alone. But
mm,
if you feel like you went through some heavy stuff, is because you're an old soul that is meant here to just live life and overcome. You're overcoming alone is
mm,
the inspiration for others to live a
mm,
better life than they think they can, to
mm,
get to their greatest, highest timeline. That's it. So whatever souls, and then you look at somebody else that has a good life, you wait, they all easy life and all this stuff. Like, how they get that and I didn't get that is because they're, in my perspective, they're a younger soul.
mm.
And that just means it doesn't mean like better or worse.
It's just a
Because
stage.
you're an older, it's a sage. Because you're an older soul, that means that when you do propel forward, you go 10 times faster than they do. Meaning when you overcome and you understand what that means by accepting exactly where you are, going, it's all good. Something amazing out of this is going to happen. I know no matter where I'm from, what's happening in my life, whatever the case, I know this is leading me something to something so epic. And like, you see these, let's just say celebrities and all these people who are known and they start at the like literally bottom of the barrel,
Mm,
like really challenging stuff. And then they tell their story and where they are is because they believe so deep in their life that they were meant for greater
mm,
stuff. But but each individual has to get out of that victim mentality. You're
mm.
not a victim. Nobody's a victim. You're not a
Everything is
victim, no matter what
choice.
happens in
Everything
life.
is choice.
You,
Yeah.
it is. You created this life before you came here. Your destinies, the things that happen here, believe it or not, you actually pick them. I know it's hard to say, like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I picked this? No way. Like it's hard to actually process in the human mind. But you did for your
Mm,
own soul's evolution, and when you, like you were mentioning, get out of that, like when you process it and you rise above, man, when you rise above, you're gonna be looked upon as wow, you got out of that. If you got out of that, then oh man, no problem. Then you're inspiring others to like light up. When you light up, you're lighting up a million souls. You have
mm,
no idea with just your story alone, with your
mm,
life.
mm,
Like when you shine, you allow all these other souls that think they didn't have hope or something else to shine. We all light up and we all ascend. And we're all going to ascend forward. It's going to happen.
mm,
And the last thing I just want to mention, the interesting about time. Now, time, the way that it was explained to me, now time is like elastic.
mm,
Time, you say, oh, time doesn't exist. Well, yeah, in a sense, but time is
mm,
elastic. And what does
mm,
that mean? This is what they show me. They can't even translate it into words. The only thing they could have gave me is like a rubber band.
mm,
So let's say you have, you're destined for certain things, but you could delay and delay and delay and delay. But your things are going to come. The things you said you in your timeline you want come, they're going to come. But you
mm.
keep stretching that elastic. But eventually that elastic gets stretched so much, excuse me,
No
it
worries.
that it's like a point that it has to happen. Like, dude, you stretch it
Mm,
enough, and
mm,
like, boom, it has to happen. So that's why when the lessons come and the lesson shows up,
mm,
just process it, just go through it.
mm,
Because if you don't, it's going to show up and might be even like a more impactful event for that individual.
because they
And
just simply refuse to acknowledge, yeah, life is funny like that, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah, the elasticity of time, even if you don't complete things, say complete things in this life. And one of the things I don't know why I want to mention about suicide is they were mentioning about cutting the contract, because suicide is cutting the contract. So what does that mean? I had a million questions, that I asked the source and guides and stuff, and they said that if a soul cuts a contract, there's no blame. They understand that it's a heavy life you picked, and that there's
Mm,
pure compassion. So when soul like cuts a life, and all this stuff, really each life should be celebrated. And I know in this human world, we look at it and we'll go, oh, so sorry for them, and and trust me, I have compassion, but I know where they go, and they kind of come to me sometimes when I actually focus on their energy.
mm,
But when the soul comes to contract, they continue with another life. It doesn't mean actually it's the next life. They can actually take a pause if it's too much for them, and it gets
mm,
rearranged. And they kind of like rearrange some stuff. Like you have to kind of like work it out. Going, hey, the plan wasn't the best. Let me kind of regroup and kind of what can I do because I want to evolve. Oh yeah, that's all soul want to do. A soul just wants to experience life and evolve. That's it.
mm,
That's really, you're like a child. That's all you want to do is play. Like this is like a play. This is a game. You just want to
mm,
play all day if you could. Even in the heavy stuff, like I'm very like a child at heart. That's who I am. I always like silly and joke, and I have a daughter and stuff. And I
mm,
always take life light because I know that it's all about the play, the creation,
mm,
and the most important thing to take back from maybe listening to this is to always be a child at heart, no
mm,
matter what. You're always a child. And in my hypnotherapy, when I do my hypnotherapy, the individuals usually get regressed back to a childhood impactful experience,
mm,
and that's the majority of the cases. I'd say 90%, other than the other ones where they go to the galactics, really, or in this lifetime, maybe in this lifetime, but like a different time, that they
mm,
wanted. So the thing is, when we're children,
mm,
we record everything all the way from birth, and actually pre-birth, all the way to about age 6 and 7. We're in theta state. Theta state is you record everything. We're
mm,
sponges. We record everything. So you take all of that in as a child, every single thing. And then as an adult, everything that's traced back to your relationships, to the way you think about abundance, to your jobs, to
mm,
how you view the world, it's all
mm,
traced back to your childhood. And that's why there's so much healing that needs to be done on
mm,
every single individual on this whole entire planet,
mm.
And yeah, so it's a lot to say. It's
No, no,
so
no.
many things to say.
I mean, it was beautiful. It was beautifully said.
Oh, thank you.
You know exactly what you want to share, and I think that's really a reflection of who you are. Knowing what it is that you want to do, and just kind of your conviction behind how you do it. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this is the first podcast I've not actually had. Even the questions I wrote down, I don't even really feel like asking them, to be honest. I
I
think,
told you it's going to be an epic conversation, that's
yeah,
for sure.
no,
There's a lot to be said, and
there's a
it's
lot to be
time.
said, and I know you
Yeah,
haven't even gone into the full depth of it. To be honest, there's a lot more
yeah.
to each aspect of what you're talking about. I guess the only question
Thank
I
you.
would ask maybe is it's not on the personal side, but I guess a more grounding element to it. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but how has this journey been? Because obviously it's a journey of healing more than anything. We accumulate a lot of um, energetic debris, you can call it whatever you want, trauma, karma, pain, all these things that embed into our energetic blueprint. And as we evolve and realize our true intentions, as you mentioned, in this life, what's that journey been like for you? I always wonder. We learn a lot about ourselves, particularly in solitude. I think that's the one thing I definitely know I struggle with in this lifetime is understanding the element of solitude and its power and why it's necessary for us to be able to attune and understand things better. Particularly, when we have so much going on around us, we have people, we have all sorts of things. So it's always fun to be entertained, but the truth I always say is it's very hard to process, and it takes a certain dimension of focus and sobriety, that's the word, to be able
Yeah.
to digest that. And I think, and I mean, we're now, like you said, we're in an age where this stuff is becoming it's part of the new norm, essentially. And a lot of people are learning a lot about their core that simply just doesn't relate to the world as it is right now. Obviously, you also know the world is going through what it's going through, unfortunately and fortunately.
Mhm.
Um, What's that journey been like for you? I guess before you answer that, to be transparent, I think, we all have our own awakenings. Not really going to go into mine. It was a bit of a shit show, but
They all are.
they all are. And honestly, who cares anyway?
Yeah,
It's more
it's a
this
shit show.
platform. It's just a journey, but I do know, man, you learn a lot of stuff, eh? And I guess I just get that vibe with you. I just want to ask, how's it been for you?
I know. Well, like you said, it's a shit show, right? I mean, like the older souls really, really get their,
That's
tough lessons.
yeah.
And, like some personal things I'll share, and other ones I'm not ready to share because it has to do with
No,
family
no,
relationship,
no,
and that was
no,
heavy stuff to
no,
process.
no. Yeah.
But being intuitive, I came here for a reason. And the point I want to say, and I'll get to the questions, is everybody's psychic and everybody's in tune and we're all giving signs, and the most important to say, you're never alone. We all come here with at least minimum of one guide, if not multiple, at all
Mm,
different times. They could be one and then more come in and then they go
mm,
out and they transition and change. But I promise you, everybody has an angel. An
mm.
angel basically just a higher vibrational being. Doesn't mean like it has wings and everything. I mean, you can imagine it has wings if that makes you feel better, but they really, like, be true, they really don't. But let's pretend they do, right? Like they're just high vibrational beings. They feel really good. I mean, they're just filled of love, but they never had an earth life. And then you have your guides, and the guides actually had an earth life. So they could be like, dude, like give you some advice, but they can't tell you
Mm,
what to do, but they can kind
mm,
of help guide you. Get it? A guide, like I'm mind healing guide. So I'm a guide. I'm going to help
mm,
guide you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But with my own journey, I wasn't always in tune with the psychic realm and the otherworldly things, meaning my grandparents and all these other people that I know I don't know that gave me advice along the way. Because when I was a child, I was punished a lot. I was grounded a lot for nothing. I was a
mm,
very good kid, but my parents were very strict because they were a wild child, and
mm.
and like the parent is like a wild child, then they think their child is going to be, but it's like the opposite. I'm like a bookworm and a nerd. Like totally. I just go to the library with like a stack of 20 books. I love the library. Oh my God, that's the one thing I did. I used love to read. I'm a writer too. I get things published when I was like 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And I just love books. And yeah, I was just punished for every little thing. And I was stuck in my room a lot. And so it forced me to go in myself. But I'm also have
Mm.
like, those astrological signs. Like I'm a rising Sag, so I love people, but I have a bunch of Pisces and, Cappies in my sign. So it's like I like
Yeah,
to be like in
Pisces.
my own. Yeah, I have Pisces in my chart, so I'm very like intuitive. I have like two or three of them, in my
Mm.
chart. So I like to kind of go in my inner world, you know.
Are
But
you,
my
sorry guys, are you, man, I used to be not good at it anymore, but yeah, it's like, I'm not even going to try to guess. I was maybe going to go Cancerian or, uh,
yeah, exactly, the water signs. Yeah, but my rising is like a Saggy, so Sages are like more extroverted, whereas like, I have like the two worlds, right? But
yeah.
at that time, I was kind of forced to go in my inner world.
Mm,
So, and I love being creative. Like that's my
mm,
outlet. Anything that is a healthy outlet, exercise, and I
mm,
love dancing. If
mm,
I'm ever stressed, I turn on some music and I just whatever. I love dancing and being creative and dancing. And so I was just doing that in my room, and I doing all kinds of creative stuff. I was doing, sculptures and poetry and writing and you name it, all this painting and creating and sewing.
mm,
And so it brought me to myself. And whenever I feel lost, and I do, because you get confused about life. You go, wait a minute, I'm intuitive, but this happened. I knew this was going to happen, but I didn't know that was going to be the result. And then they
mm,
tell me as to why, because of the
mm,
lessons, and just to breathe it through. It's all good. It's all going to come together. Don't worry. It all has a
mm,
reason. It all has a reason. I promise you. But I like to sit with myself, and especially the guides and the angels, and ask them, especially when I feel lost over why it happened, over why
mm,
certain things happen, is to bring us
mm,
to our lessons we signed up for, to actually get to our true power. Our true power is just sit with ourselves and be compassionate with ourselves. And we put so much blame. This is the thing. We put so much blame not on others. Forget about others, what they did to us. We give that to ourselves because this reality creation. Think about it. Somebody does that onto you, and you actually take that into your soul.
Mm,
And you could even blame yourself for something that you did. And meanwhile, it was a situation. There's too much. There's too much we take into a
mm,
soul inside of our body and blame ourselves for the shoulda, coulda, wouldas when we
mm,
could just clear it up.
mm,
Example, I'll give you. Let's say you're dealing and have something challenging in your life. I recommend if you have a trusted friend, talk to a friend. If you don't have a trusted friend, get a therapist. You can't get a therapist, write a letter and burn it, rip it up, but get it out. Because if you do not get it out of your body, it's gonna become a disease or it's gonna become very toxic. And this
mm,
is where the diseases start. It's just stagnant energy inside your body. And you could trace back of certain emotions that actually
mm,
related to each organ of the body. Your body is your own universe.
mhm,
Never, ever keep any bad feelings about yourself or anybody else. Never,
mm,
ever. They even say that in the Bible. I'm not religious, trust me. I'm like so not religious, but I
mm,
love angels and guides and all that. But
mhm,
I'm totally open to all the religions. They all have a truth in it,
mm,
like all the religions, if you think about it, right? But
mhm,
I believe in God, a
mhm,
source. But the reason why I say never have any bad feelings about yourself, never give yourself blame or others, is because that goes inside your body and you're poisoning yourself. Be
mhm,
compassionate with yourself and go, hey, mistakes and all this stuff. It was part of the thing I signed up for. Even the
mm,
reality or the people I have around you. Just figure out how you can have a healthier outlet. Let's say you have bombarded with people, like you said, constantly.
mm,
Then you have to be honest with yourself and tell them, hey, I need time for myself. I'm going to go take a 20-minute walk, or I'm going to
mm,
go here, or I'm going to exercise, or I need to write. I need that time. If you can't
mm,
respect it, then I'm going to step out. And you got to be
mm,
solid with yourself. You got to have conviction, and you have to say, and you can't have conviction, and people might walk all over you, or whatever it is, be a
mm,
doormat or something. Don't allow that. Go, hey,
mm,
I need this time for myself. And if you can't understand it, I don't want to say I'm sorry, but I'm doing it for you too. If I
mm,
don't have that time for myself, even if it's a half an hour, just to think about things, process stuff, get some joy in my life, whatever it is, then I'm not going to be the best version of myself for
mm,
you. So everybody has to remember that listen, I'm a mom and I have a business, and I had the partner that I had, and we're still really good friends, actually. Like, we
mm,
support each other. He has a business, I support him, and he's a
mm,
great person. Not for me, for somebody else, not for me.
mm,
And and this is when you get to more higher consciousness and you break up. And my exes, I all became friends with them because we just realized, hey, we're not compatible. This is not going to work out.
that's
You're great.
maturity.
We're too many differences. And I was friends with every single one of my ex. And people go, how can you be friends with your ex? And they have this stuff. I'm like, because you can. But once they got a girlfriend and she got jealous, clearly I was out of the picture, you know, which I respected it. I was like, dude, I am not getting involved. Peace and love to you both.
Yeah,
But
you're
even with my,
introvert, but you're an
even with,
excellent storyteller.
it is, but even with my ex, we're peaceful. There's no bad feelings. I'm even supporting him with his business. We had a business together, and we decided, we had our nice time, but this is we can't fix the things that we wanted to fix. It's kind of like when you get to a higher consciousness, you realize that person is not part of your future. Do you know what I'm saying? He's going to be in my life because I have a daughter with him, and we have the best positive relations for one another, but I know he's not my future. He's not my future partner. He's not my future love of my life. And so we just both agreed and go, yeah, you're right. And we just closed the contract. This is where people start to rise in higher consciousness when they realize this. They realize, hey, thank you for the lesson. No bad feelings. Hey, we had so much fun. I really enjoyed this part. That part wasn't so great, but it's all good. I wish you all the very best. And I'm going to move on. And hopefully you can be friends. If not, it has to be a mutual thing. But don't ever be with anybody that has bad negative feeling towards you. Really wish them all the very best because that's coming back to you, really,
Mm.
you know? And yeah, and it's a lot to be said about, the journey. So I didn't mention some situations in my life, but that's kind of what I did, with
No, you
my
did, you
ex.
did. No,
I
you don't
did,
need,
yeah.
you don't need to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's obviously personal stuff. But thank you
Yeah.
for being
So,
so transparent with that and just sharing it. I would just comment on it that, you know, just even having this conversation with you, a high level of maturity has just emerged within myself. I realized, and maybe it's again just male, I don't know, but definitely looking back at myself now, there's a lot of immaturity that has been shown that now I can work on, and that's amazing. I think that's the beauty of exchange. Like you mentioned how lessons and wisdom are imparted in this. I think if I hadn't had this conversation with you, God knows, man, what decisions I would have made in my life. So I'd like to thank you for just being so transparent and organic, and just for your maturity and your sense of humor around matters of high intensity. I think that's a powerful, strong people develop a very, 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 very relaxed attitude in overcoming difficult things, and you've definitely done that. So I really
Oh,
appreciate
thank
you
you very
sharing
much.
that. Truly, Um,
Oh, thank you.
I have one more question because I know we're pressed for time and I know you have your
I know,
schedule.
I know.
Um, are you okay? I don't want to say, especially with the whole war happening now, whenever you say, are you Russian, are you Ukrainian? It's obviously a sensitive topic. But are
Yeah,
you like your descendancy, if I could ask? I'm just interested now.
sure.
Are
Yeah,
you
so
Eastern European by descent or?
yes. So I was born in Poland. So I'm Polish actually, but I was born on the border of what used to be Russia, but now it's Estonia. I was literally on the border. So my ancestry, yeah, it could trace back to Russia, I would say, but my
Uh,
ancestry is Polish, and I lived in the U.S. actually half of my life since I was 6 years old in New York. But at the time, I traveled. I kind of lived all over the world. Really, I lived in California. I went cross country twice. I visited over like 35 states in the U.S. I lived in Denmark and now England. I'm a bird.
uh,
And I love cultures, man. I love people. I really do. I love all different backgrounds and cultures, and I just love talking to people everywhere I go. I just want to know about them. I just want to know their background. And I've met people from all different backgrounds, all different religions, and I'm just so open-minded. I like,
mhm,
and I mean, I had a best friend who I just kind of lost touch with her. She's Muslim, and she helped me understand that religion because as long as we're open-minded to, just everything, when we're closed off, like, somebody's super religious and they go, no, no, I'm Catholic and that's it. I don't want to hear about yours. I don't want to say right and wrong, but as long as we're just open to hearing others, even if we're like a strict religion, just be
mhm,
open to hearing others. There's no, this debate of right and wrong. There's no right and wrong. You're not wrong. I'm not right. You're not right. I'm not wrong.
mhm,
Because there, in one of my books that I have actually coming out, one of the quotes from it is, enlighten up. I'll just kind of like name drop it again.
mhm,
The Confessions of a Quantum Channeler. In it, I said, we're all students and teachers. And we go seesaw back and forth because at one time you're the student and at one time you're the teacher. And we go back and forth in that. So when we realize this, that, going back and forth and understanding the student and the teacher relation in this life, like even the exchange we had here, like where just our words alone, whatever
mhm,
background you're in, whatever culture you're in, we're human. In the end, I'm
mhm,
human, you're human. We all go
mhm,
through pains and sufferings in our life. We
mhm,
all go through heartaches, but happy times and good times and joys. Hey, we're human. We all go through our experiences, and I just love, you know, um, knowing a person. I want to know your journey. I want to know your background. That's why I'm a hypnotherapist, because I allow that person
mhm,
kind of journey through them. I don't talk like this. Actually, they talk more than I do in this one, and they talk about their journey and what they need. And I love just listening and to helping them so much. I love this, the conviction. Really, I have strong conviction in
mhm,
this, that I love cultures and I love to hear somebody's journey and where we came from, because it makes you you exactly as you are. Your perfection. You chose this life, and there's no mistake about your life in the tiniest little fragment. And if you
mhm,
think there is, then I don't say you're wrong, but I say you're just kind of not seeing it. You're not wrong. You have to just shift your perspective, put on a better set of glasses, 2020 vision. Maybe your vision is yourself, because the two most important elements in life, I believe, are when it comes to life about is perspective and awareness. First is awareness, being aware of like what you just told me. Oh wow, Joanna, after our conversation, and click, it clicked in. I'm aware of this. and then now your perspective shifts, and now you put on like glasses, or like more 2020 vision, right? Go, ooh.
Mm,
And then that's going to lead your life to a higher timeline. Just our interaction alone right after this might lead you to a better timeline.
mhm,
Depends how you choose it. And this is
mm,
what I'm here for, to do for people, to you know so with this wars and stuff you just mentioned, is about just being open, you
mm,
know, like just being, even if you're whatever religion, whatever background, just
mm,
go, listen, I don't make me change my mind. If that person is so, I'm going to say the word stubborn, so set in their ways, it's fine. No judgment, but be open enough to hear the other person. And don't judge them. Let them be. Just hear them out and go, okay, I heard you out, and that's all I need. But there shouldn't be any like, I'm right and you're wrong, my religion is better than yours. No, God sees it as his version of all the things he wanted to see. It's all good. It's, in a sense, it's all right, because if you think about religion, at the core of religion, it's all really the same.
mm,
Love, try treat one another as you treat
mm,
yourself. At the core of religion, and I actually wrote that in one of the other books I'm going to publish in the middle of the year too,
mhm,
excuse me, is about just the core of all religion, or even non-religion, if you want to think of science. That's
mhm,
kind of like my background, right? Even the scientific realm is a core where it's all the same. Love is the highest form of anything in this life. Love, compassion, understand, like the core elements. So you can think about war and all this other stuff. Let's not focus on that, but bring more love into it,
mhm,
bring more compassion into any situation, bring more understanding into a situation, and open mind into any situation.
mhm,
Even like Mother Teresa never supported war. She only supported things that heal the war. Like, there's pro war and pro peace. Go pro peace, and there's a reason, because you amplify that vibration, and there's no accident. So really, if there's like a protest, I go, I understand these souls came in here as rebels and to do their part, and I get it. And I even high five them, go, I get what you're doing. It's part of your journey. But I'm just pro peace,
mhm,
because that's where my soul is at. And these
mhm,
souls came in this life with no judgment. And I high five them because their soul is strong, conviction, and trying to fight for what is right, you know? And there's no judgment there, because their soul is doing the right thing and what they know,
mhm,
you know if they're pro-war and I'm going to fight this war, and I'm a veteran, I have no judgment, because I see their soul where they are, and I
mhm,
see their soul having such strong, just try to bring more peace in the world. Like, they're there, but maybe their younger soul going, I want to bring more love and peace and balance, and doing what's right for my people, right? My
mhm.
people. But really, we're all people. you know so anyways, I think I said enough about that. I could just keep going. This is the thing. Longer podcast.
No, no, don't worry about it. We love it. We really do. And I guess the last question I ask is, where can people contact you and reach out to you? Do you work with people outside of the United Kingdom? And obviously, what are your words of wisdom and advice for audience that are listening into the podcast today? So the first two, your contact and what type of sort of programs you run with people, if you work with people within your region or outside of your region, and then your words of wisdom and advice for those tuning in today.
Sure. Yes, sure. So they could find me on my website, mindhealingguide.com. I'm also on social media, but I kind of just took a pause because I'm working on courses. So that's Instagram, I think TikTok, and I think Facebook. I had some recordings and stuff, which I'm going to do more of, a lot more of, talking about these topics, usually shorts, more than longer videos. And, I'm also having that course launching about understanding the realities, how to launch yourself into your highest timeline and understanding like this world. That's going to be launching at the end of the month, along with
Mhm.
my book. That book is called I almost forgot the title.
Re-enlighten yourself.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. And enlighten up.
Enlighten up.
The Confessions of a Quantum Channeler. So, and the words of advice, I think I said a lot of the words of advice, but I think the only ones they're popping in and telling me is, I'll give you like three.
Hmm.
One is, always have that joy in your life. Always be that kid at heart, because if you believe in God, you don't believe in God, I respect it all, really.
Hmm.
Whatever the case is, just God, source, whatever you want to call it, wants you just to be a child in this world and have as much joy in creation. That's all he wants.
Mm,
No matter what, find your bliss and
mm,
go down that path, no matter what. Because the more you go down that path of bliss, the more it's going to come to you because you're bringing that energy and you're a magnet to everything that you want and feel. So be more joy, be more love, be more peace, you know? And I think maybe they're just telling me instead of the three, that's kind of like be more joy, be more love, be more peace. So the content is that. And then, and just, oh yeah, they also said, I think maybe just general, maybe just people and just for you in general, to know that you're never alone. Not in a creepy way where like I'm channeling spirits and they pop in like in the toilets, joke around with the podcast, like sitting on the toilet, poof, they're here like, oh no. you know, they do, trust me, they do. But I'm like, hey, my privacy, please. They do, but they don't see it that way like we do. Like, hey, I'm on the toilet. They're just like, yeah, so like, okay, like they really don't see it that way at all. They don't. That's the human aspect, right? The point is, in the times you do need the presence of somebody when you're really upset and you think you're alone, listen, I don't keep promises that I don't say promises that I can't keep. And I'm telling you, I promise you that you are never alone, especially in the moments where you feel alone. You have your guides and you have your angels, but there's free will. You have to call upon them. Say, hey, listen, I'm having a hard time. Please give me a sign. Please, I'm saying a prayer, whatever you want to say. I'm getting chills when I say that as a confirmation. Say a prayer, ask for it, give him signs. I need your help. I need clarity. I don't know what to do. They're going to give you signs either in that moment or throughout your day or the next day, but within like a time span, not too long. If you really need it, the quicker it's going to come. No, you're never alone, especially in the most challenging time. And the last things I gotta say is just they're just kind of being silly and just say be peace and love. That's what they're saying basically. I was gonna say something else, but just be peace and love. Kind of just stems back to the first thing that we said is just be peace and love, and the rest will fall into place. So that's it.
no, Joanna, you're an absolute sweetheart. It's been an absolute pleasure having you come onto the show, and it'd be great to have you on again, definitely.
Oh, thank you.
Especially with the book
I'd
that
love
you're
to.
releasing. Wishing you all the best with that as well. It's always good to challenge yourself, to expand yourself, which is what you're doing. And I think the beauty is that you value knowledge first. I mean, obviously that you only need it for a lifetime, but the fact that you're investing in it so that you can offer the best to others is really, really good. So I know that your journey will be exciting moving forward. Sure, you meet many more people who are of quite an intense, energetic nature. I think that's just the time we're living in. But we're really honored to have you on the podcast and what you shared and just how open and raw you are with it. And I think it's really good. The world needs more people who are just true to themselves, who are honest in um, what they have found within their lives and how they found peace with it, how they have used their life journey, their life path, life choices to ultimately the best version of themselves. So I really, truly appreciate it. And again, it'd be great to have you on. And yeah, wishing you all the best. You're a really, really cool person.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all those kind words, and you're a really wonderful soul too. And I would love to come back. We could even do like some fun experiments and come back and even talk
Oh
about
my
that or
goodness.
other topics. Yeah, because for me the most important is the proof, really, because I'm the kind of soul. It's like I get where I'm seeing, but I need the
Mm,
proof, right? And I got the
mm,
proof. Let me tell you. So, and I want to prove to others. It's not that I have to prove, it's others proving to themselves in these experiments. So, and they can message you back, like if you have a YouTube channel or something
mm,
where they can comment back, we could have like a fun experiment, be like, oh, I tried this and wow, this came about, because then you get more engagement, and stuff like that, and
mm,
other
mm.
things where people could do this for themselves, really, to know that this is for real, this is legit. So, and yeah, so thank you so much. I really had a lot of fun here. Thank you.
I hope you did. And yeah, guys, I hope you find something that you can take from this podcast episode. That's why we do it. We're fortunate to have amazing guests sharing really amazing stories of their journey. And that's probably more important than anything. If you can't take anything, take something from the journey. There's a lot of power in that. So yeah, Joanna, thank you so much. I'm not going to try to say your surname again. I give up.
It's okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.